I am super excited to welcome Meaghan Murphy to the show today. Now, Meaghan is an author, an editor, an on-air personality. You definitely have seen her with, I was going to say Regis and Kathy. Wrong.
Everyone does that. They're like, I saw you on Regis. I'm like, he's not alive.
It was outrageous. Anyway, not Regis and Kathy. Who are they now?
It's
Kelly and
live with Kelly and Ryan
I
Seacrest,
meant to say
who I
live with Kelly
adore.
and
He's so
Ryan.
fun to work with.
Yes, right. But I see you on there. You are like the queen of the morning show,
I
sister.
like a good morning show. I do the Today Show from my home now. My home is basically like a studio. And
Amazing.
I was doing Live with Kelly from home, but then I actually did go back into the studio too for a Halloween show, which I hadn't done in a while.
Excellent. Okay, sorry. Let me finish your bio, people. Hold on. Hold on. You are an on-air personality helping us with everything, health expert, influencer, home hack master, and certified trainer. Okay, so you are also the content director of Women's Day, which literally is the number one best-selling magazine on newsstands, which is so funny because we all know that because you're standing on there and you always freaking
And you
buy it
just,
because
it's
you
so
want a recipe.
joyful. Also,
That's right.
I just got promoted to editor in chief. They changed my title. I must be doing a good job.
Congratulations.
I don't
Right on.
know.
Well, welcome to the Terry Cole Show. We're so excited to have you. And
Yay.
you're really into like having more yay in your life, right? There's a
Exactly.
whole thing that you talk about. You just had your first solo book come out at the end of February, which is so incredibly exciting. I love your book.
Thank you.
Um, but this is a time, Meaghan, part of what I wanted to talk about on the show today with you is you're with everything that's been going on in the world, this is a very um timely experience, right? It's a very
Yeah,
timely experience for people to think of big and small ways to get more yay in their life. So
exactly.
tell me what the first thing is. Just tell me what actually inspired you to write a book.
Sure. Well, I've been a service journalist for 25 years, and I've worked at magazines from Good Housekeeping to Cosmopolitan to Self Magazine, now heading up Woman's Day. And during that time as a service journalist, I have been interviewing experts like yourself, PhDs, psychologists, looking at the research, and then translating it to news a reader could use to live their best life. And I've done
Mhm.
that across categories from health to relationships to positivity to family life to great recipes. Um, and so I kind of used myself as a guinea pig through that process to see what really worked and to road test it and to really give it real life practical applications. And not ironically, no accident that my life and my job have always kind of matched up. So I was at Teen People and working on MTV when I was a teen. I graduated to Cosmo when I was single, Sex in the City, and I was a sex and relationship editor while I was literally a single 20 something, hanging out in New York. I moved over to Self Magazine as the lifestyle director and fitness director and spent 9 years there running the Self Challenge, which was a eat right and exercise program, and that helped people live their best lives. That's when I got engaged, got married, had 3 kids. How weird is this? The second I decided I was going to move to the suburbs and buy a house with a swing set, I moved over to Good Housekeeping. And there I became a home hack master, helping people to problem solve in their homes and in their everyday lives. And then, just on the cusp of the pandemic, I was asked to go re energize and reimagine Woman's Day magazine, which had a really, really wide audience and was a great magazine, but just needed an injection of life. And from my kitchen table, without ever meeting my team in person, I set out to recharge Woman's Day and sort of reimagined it as destination celebration, no holiday left behind from Taco Tuesday to Christmas, because in that moment, what I needed and what I assumed everyone else in the world needed was moments of joy, moments of yay, to inject some levity and goodness in a really crap hard time. So I did that with the magazine, and I subsequently finished my book in the same breath while homeschooling 3 children. Cried in the shower quite a bit during that time period, but got it all done. And your fully charged life is born.
Wow. Okay, so who is this book for?
I think the little underline of this book is it's a radically simple approach to having endless energy and filling every day with yay. And I truly, truly believe it is for anyone who thinks tomorrow could be more awesome, but just doesn't know how to get there. I think we all
Mm,
feel a little deflated, a little de energized, a little beat up. But You don't have to be. And you don't have to make big sweeping changes to get there. I wouldn't allow this book to be launched in January because the phrase new year, new you makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Like, you are not broken. Like, you might need a teeny bit of fixing, but you're not broken. And this is not like grandiose, life-changing advice. They're simple tips and strategies that could have an impact and could make tomorrow more joyful. And you don't even realize maybe that this would work or you need it. And it's all science backed with lots of great research.
Amazing. And here's the thing with making small changes, when in teaching all the stuff that I teach, really we're looking at the difference between sustainable change, right, which is transformation, and then just regular change, which means I could change and I could change back. And so what I love about the book is that it's small steps that you can choose to take, the same small steps that make your life better, have a better morning routine, celebrate differently. And then you have, what I also love about the book is that there's a whole psychological element to, and of course, perfectionism and boundaries. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that, of course, I'm very interested in. And, because this is what I do for a
You're
living.
the boundary boss.
That is correct. Speaking of books, I am the boundary boss. So I wonder for you, because, I've known you for a while now, and you have a particular personality that I think can be misleading, because you're also very efficient and effective and getting shit done. So it's almost like people might think, because you are very positive and you are the queen of yay, that you're a pushover, or that you're do you know what I mean? Like sometimes there is this.
Yeah.
So tell me, how does that strike you? And tell me what is it?
That's so interesting. I love this because I also feel like it's like a therapy session. It's amazing. I'm going to workshop myself too. I am incredibly specific about what I care about, and I'm very purpose driven. So if I care, I'm going to go hard. If I don't care, I'm going to tune out. And I'm also relentlessly confident. And I think that comes with age and experience. But as a 45-year-old mother of three who's experienced some traumatic losses and has gained incredible perspective, I give very little fucks what other people think at this point in my life. And that's that's an easier way to move through your day, frankly. I also realize in many ways I am not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's also okay. Be a coffee drinker. That's cool. So I'm very, very self-aware, but also just very confident in my message and confident in my purpose. I know I'm on this planet to affect positive change, to be a force of positive energy. I'm also not toxically positive. I'm not an idiotic Pollyanna. I mean, I always like to talk about this. Like, I don't just see the bright side. I see all the sides. I'm not naive. I understand that you need to recognize the bad to bask in the good. So it's not like I shut off the crap. I acknowledge it. But then it goes away.
Right. So there's something about where, what I'm hearing you say is there's something about choosing to put your focus in a particular place. So the power of your own intention to say, hey, I'm going to focus on the good that came out of this. Before we went live, you were talking about your life, that there's a lot of times there is something, you've had a series of things happen where something bad will happen, quote unquote, before something good.
Exactly.
And so can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's kind of surreal. Like, and in the moment, I don't always realize that's what's happening. Because it's really with reflection, introspection that life makes sense. And I lived a lot of life before I made sense of it. But if I think about it this way now, in my teens, I had some tumultuous teen years. My best friend and I were team anorexics. Like, we exercised for 9 hours a day together, took laxatives, until the point where I passed out on the soccer field, was rushed to the hospital, and then admitted into an eating disorder program. Her parents, who were best friends with my parents, subsequently said, okay, she needs to be in that program too. I talked to her on the phone. I'm like, it's not so bad. Come join me. She jumped out of the car and died en route to the hospital. Well, that's a lot for a 16-year-old, right? I felt all these feelings of guilt, and yet I still couldn't get my own eating disorder under control. I spent 3 years 3 hospitalizations over the course of a year, trying to get a grip on it. I had to move out of my house with my aunt and uncle to go to a different high school because I couldn't even face it. But ultimately, I wrote an essay about that adversity because writing has always been cathartic for me in a way that I process emotions. I wrote this very powerful essay, won a $10,000 scholarship, wound up on an NBC special that Trisha Yearwood performed at, and Don Johnson and Bob Costas were the hosts. And that springboarded my entire media career, because then YM Magazine wanted to write about me. And I said, well, sure, but I'll write the essay myself. And can you hire an intern? That internship turned into an assistant editor job. And from everything else there was magic. My father's death was a springboard for this book. When he died 5 years ago, very quickly, of pancreatic cancer, I didn't know how to move through it. I was stuck. And so I undertook something called Operation Good Grief, which was an exercise every day in finding one thing that didn't suck. And I would document it and I would share it with the hashtag Operation Good Grief. And I created a community around grief. I was able to establish grief mentors that had gotten through the other side to show me the way. And as I moved through that, and I began to transform from like this grumpy, miserable kid who endured a lot of shit to this person who began to see that positivity, if you prioritize it, can change you. And so I moved through that process. And with, 2 years through that, I was like, I know what my purpose is now. I want to give other people this toolkit. And once I knew the why of the why me, and turned it into a why not me, and understood why these things were happening, I was okay. Now, right before I'm about to launch a book, I freaking get COVID. My 3 kids get COVID. My 7-year-old mom and my husband get COVID. I'm like, really? Like, okay, so what good is going to be born of this? I need to process how bad this sucks for a hot second. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pause and embrace just how bad and scary and awful this is. And then I'm going to change my why not me to a why me, and understand how I can move through this with purpose and take one positive action step, which will lead to another. And that first moment of, hey, you know what? This is really scary and I don't know what to do, but I have the resources because I host a podcast where I had Dr. Darian, who's an ER doctor on CNN, who's an authority on COVID recovery. I'm going to call her. And she's going to give me the toolkit for recovery. And you know what? I'm going to share that so loudly and so widely. And that's my purpose. And you know what? I feel like I'm wearing a big scarlet letter C right now. I'm going to destigmatize this shit. I'm going to tell everybody that it's okay to get COVID. It doesn't mean you're irresponsible. It doesn't mean you're an asshole. It means somehow you got COVID and it's okay. Own it. And so once I fuel myself, if I'm able to reframe things and fuel myself with positive action steps and purpose, I move through. But it does seem like I get bitch slapped often right before something pretty epic happens, like launching my first book.
Exactly. And I do think that there is something about having those experiences that creates this, not that you needed it because you're like the most grateful person on the planet, but that there's a certain amount of gratitude to just be doing what you're doing now at this phase. The book is already out there in the world. People are loving it. It's like you're where you are right now, and you are not actively suffering with active COVID right now. So it's
Exactly.
almost like, how do I look at the positive? One part of the book that I loved so much was your Murphy's Law section. Murphy's Laws section. So I'm going to ask you about a few of them because I just feel like they're really fun, and they're again, I love the bite-sized snack inspiration that is in this book, because I don't care how friggin' busy you are, you have enough time to read one of these little things that might just change the entire trajectory of your day, which might just change the entire trajectory of something else. We don't know. So anyway, start with ban the word maybe.
Oh, I just think maybe it's wishy-washy bullshit. I mean, if you can't commit to an answer, you can't commit to anything. And I found myself doing that a lot. Can I have a sleepover? Can I? Maybe. It means I'm not giving you my attention right now. I'm not honoring you with a real answer. I'm brushing you off. And if you live your life brushing things and people off, you will never be happy.
I love it. It's so true. So what we're breaking this down to, the maybe, is that what we're really saying a lot of times is, I'm not ready to make a decision. And my feeling from really being into direct communication is I would just rather someone say to me, I don't know yet. I wanted to discuss it with you further or something. Again, so I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't
Yeah,
like
or is it
obtuse
you're scared?
communication.
And I also find like I'm too scared to, get the uncomfortable response if my answer is really no, and I just don't want to have the uncomfortable interaction. Like maybe it's lazy and it's selfish, and I don't use the word.
Yeah, because it's buying time,
Hmm.
and here's the thing about buying time. It's like you can do it in a different way. And listen, some people might disagree and say, no, I think that it's this. I agree with you that there are more astute and direct and transparent ways of communicating. So I love that. Another one that I loved is carve out one on one time.
This has been really important for me, and it's funny because it's sort of counter to some of the ways we live. I think of my family as a team. I call us Team Murphy, and we are one for all for one most of the time. That's how we function. We function as a team, and that works very well for us. But what I was noticing is that everybody needs to be the starting player or the MVP once in a while. So that means I need to give my son James alone time with nobody else to work on his Valentine's Day box. Or
Mhm.
I need to walk the dog with just my daughter Charlie, nobody else, because she needs to feel like, you know, the star of the show for a hot second. And I am busy and crazy and all over the place. So they need to realize that if they need my attention, they get it, and that they are just as important as any Zoom call or, you know, anything. And it goes for my husband too. Like I need to prioritize the relationships in my life, and often that means one-on-one time.
Yep, I will agree with one-on-one time. And yet, what I've been hearing from so many people who've been, this last year and something being locked down is that a lot of those types of healthy ways of interacting in their family, because of this new normal, quote unquote, that no one really is that into, it's so much togetherness, especially if you don't live. I mean, there's many people who live in an urban area, who live in a very small space, who do not live in a house where there's a backyard, where it's negatively impacted lots and lots of people. So I still think that the one-on-one time is important, and alone time, right?
Exactly.
Alone
And
time.
here's the thing is the one-on-one time doesn't necessarily even mean you're secluded in a room together if that's not what you have, but it could be like we're going to have our show. Like my daughter and I have Stranger Things, and that's ours. It's something that's between me and her, and that feels like a hug. And it doesn't mean no one else can watch us watching this show or they don't exist, but like we've created this show bubble that's something that's ours.
Yep. Right. I see exactly what you mean. Okay, I have another few questions for you. So, the three F's that you use before making any decision, would you tell us a little bit about
Oh
that?
my gosh, wait. Because I don't, there's more than three. And do I say, because I don't say the F word on the audiobook, right? The first, wait, now I forget the order of them. Oh my
That's okay.
God.
Just say whatever three
So,
come into your
so the
mind.
F, I call them though the F's because usually what I say when I mess up is fuck. Like that's usually the first thing out. But it's sort of, so some of the F's are like, figure it out. What did you do wrong? What could you learn from it? Like, fix it. Like, is there something you can actually do to fix it? And then
Mm,
ultimately, sometimes you just need to forget it and move on. Like, you might not get
mhm.
closure. You might not be able to completely solve the problem. So forget it. Is there
Right.
one
So,
more though? There's so many. I have a couple of these devices through the book, and then sometimes I forget which landed. So I turn the book in at 90,000 words and I edit it down to 70,000 words. So sometimes I forget what's still there and what's not. Do you find this? Like, I'm like, is that
well,
anecdote still in the book? I don't remember if it is.
I gotta say, I feel like I edited my book so many friggin' times that I kind of know what made it in and out because I was also negotiating for that. So I think
Ah,
that this question on here was what do the ones you use. So that's after you something happens and you make a mistake or you do something that you kind of wish you could change. Are there things that you do before making any decisions? Actually, before. So that was part of the question was, but I understand what you're saying about I love the mindset of what action can you take? Like, what is the point of ruminating and having circular thinking about something, if the truth is, what is a serenity prayer? It's exactly what you just said, Meaghan. The serenity prayer is, give me the wisdom to know the difference between the things I cannot change and the things I can change. And then give me the strength and the courage to make those changes.
Exactly.
But living that way, I think that especially after the fact, I talk quite a bit about the difference between ruminating and legitimate self-reflection.
Exactly. I always say that the magic is in the doing versus the stewing. When I feel stuck, I need to do, not stew. Um, because the more I like replay the train wreck in my head, the worse it gets. The second I do the things in my toolkit that I know help me get outside, get some fresh air, buy myself flowers, call a friend, then I can, you know, move forward. But if I just sit there and replay the pain, the train wreck, the problematic thing, like I never move forward. I feel like the way forward is always one positive action.
Yeah, and what I love about that, Meaghan, is that it's doable, right? So it's so much of the time when we think about change or transformation or growth, we're like, I need to do all of these things. And you don't, and you won't. So what I love about your fully charged life as a little, I really see it as a resource manual. Like, it's something that I love the size of it. I love the way it looks. And it's like a resource manual where you can literally like open to a page and be like, here's an idea. Okay, I'm going to do that. Or I need some inspiration. I'm going to go to Murphy's Laws. Or the way that you have it broken down into sections, it's very digestible and manageable. And there, I really feel like, Meaghan, you've done this great job where there is something for everyone. Like, if you're like, I don't know, I want to do something for myself. I want to give myself a gift. If you could use more energy, if you could use, it's almost like a hand up in the way of having real positivity that is energizing. But what it isn't, and I think it's important to say this, is exactly what you said before. It isn't um, bypassing. It isn't hyper or toxic positivity, because there is something that, for a long time that has been sort of running rampant in different communities online, where there's all of this shaming. And what I felt in reading your book was this sense of someone who'd been in the fight, been in the trenches, understands that it's hard, and is offering something that is not hard. You know what I mean?
And also, what I kind of feel like right now is sometimes people just need permission to feel okay and permission to prioritize positivity and want to feel better. I mean, if you feel good, that doesn't mean you're disrespecting the person who like lost their parent or lost their job or is going through a hard time. It's not frivolous. It's not disrespectful. It's okay to feel good. In some weird ways, I think that we as a people, as a nation, have kind of forgotten that it's okay to be happy. And in fact, it feels really good to find the A in every day and to be energized with good energy, like good
Hmm.
vibes.
Yes. I do think, though, that this is so common. What you're saying is that, like, if someone else has a loss, then if I'm happy, then I'm being insensitive.
Yep.
But here's the reality. Like, in our own lives, we are complex, humans, we're very complicated, complex, and we can hold more than one emotion really at the same time. You can be sad, empathic, sympathetic, generous to someone else, and also feel satisfied with something that you've done, or feel grateful that you, whatever. And so I
Exactly.
think that this book is sort of permission to step back into prioritizing our pleasure, our happiness, and feeling good. So I really, really hope that all of you guys watching and listening get motivated to take one little step every day. And your first step, if you haven't done it yet, is to get Meaghan's book. It's Your Fully Charged
Your
Life. And
fully
what is the
charged life.
subtitle?
A radically simple approach to having endless energy and filling every day with yay.
Filling every day with yay. Who doesn't want that? Well,
Yeah.
Meaghan, thank you so much for being on the Terri Cole Show. We super loved having you. And I
Yay.
know I'm going to see you soon.
I know, I'm excited.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you. I don't know why that was beeping. I don't know what was beeping, and then I